Hey everyone, this is Alicia and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the 7th and final part of my eyeshadow palette collection and declutter series. So let's just jump right on in. Oh, before I get started, I want to apologize for how long it took me to upload this video. First, I actually filmed this video months ago, but my MacBook died again and I wind up losing the footage from that video along with footage from 6 video tutorials for eyeshadow looks that I did as well, so I love that for me. Also, I had a baby. She's doing great. So yeah, that's pretty much where I've been. I'm sorry that I went MIA for a bit, but yeah, so I'm just gonna refilm this and try to get back in the groove of things. First thing I want to talk about is the I Heart Revolution Sour Cherry Eyeshadow Palette. I had said in a previous video that I wanted to hold on to this. I did give it another look. I tried to get some inspiration from it, and then going through other palettes, I realized I honestly don't even need this in my collection, so ultimately decided just to get rid of this. Another palette from a previous video that I decided to keep that I've changed my mind and decided to declutter is the I Heart Revolution Violet Crush Eyeshadow Palette. This is what the inside looks like. I realized that I was only keeping this palette for that shade and that shade. Realistically, I can probably find other shades just like this in other palettes. There's really no need for me to keep it just for those two shades. The palette is cute, but honestly, I really drew no inspiration when trying to come up with a look for this, so I'm also going to get rid of this as well. Another palette that I decided that I'm just going to get rid of is the Shayla X ColourPop Perception Eyeshadow Palette. In my previous videos, I was telling you guys that I wanted to really give this a go, but then looking at it, I'm realizing I'm only keeping the palette for these 4 shades down here. I have so many ColourPop eyeshadows that I'm pretty sure that I will find similar shades in these. You know what, dang it. See, this palette, man, I swear, I always say I'm gonna pick it up. I never pick it up, then I say I'm gonna get rid of it, then I look at it again and it's like, no, you should keep that. You know, this is annoying, I swear, because in the previous video I said that I was going to keep it. Then when filming this video, I said, oh yeah, I can totally get rid of it. I opened the damn palette again and I'm just like, I'm gonna keep her. That's sad, I'm gonna keep it, but that's how it goes sometimes. Another palette that I said I was going to get rid of that I ultimately decided to get rid of is the Trend Beauty Tropical Vibes Volume 1 eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside of her looks like, very neutral base eyeshadow palette. I said that in my previous video. I love the pan sizes, I love how big they are. Realistically, I'm not gonna get any use out of it. These shades are very, very pretty, but the fact that I keep going back and forth and still haven't even swatched these at least tells me I just need to get rid of it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get rid of this as well. Okay, it may seem like I'm off to a great start decluttering things, but yeah, this video, I remember months ago, was a struggle to try to get rid of stuff, but we will try our best. Now, you guys have heard me mention this palette numerous times in previous videos. This is the BH Cosmetics Club Tropicana eyeshadow palette, and this is the palette I was saying that it has all the shades of shimmers that you may ever need, pretty much your color-based ones, and this palette is just a dream to me. I love this palette so much. I've used it so many times. I don't ever see me getting rid of this palette. As you can see, I've even scraped out some of this just to create an eyeliner. It's just, this palette is just everything. It sucks that it was limited edition because I feel like everybody should have this palette in their collection, but I love the quality of these shades. This is before BH Cosmetics actually reformulated their stuff, so this was like right when they were starting to shift and get better quality things. Overall, I love this palette. I don't ever see me getting rid of this palette. I'll do a few swatches to show you what I'm talking about the quality of this, and I'll do this one as well. As you can see, those are beautiful. Like one finger swatches, like absolutely beautiful. I love this palette. I don't think I will ever Yeah, I'll never get rid of this palette. I'll probably hit pan on every shade in this palette, and I didn't think that would be possible to hit pan on every shade in a palette, but if I did, it would definitely be this one, so I'm definitely holding on to her. Next is the Morphe 24A Artist Pass eyeshadow palette. If I believe correctly, this was the palette that was in collaboration with Saweetie, or she was just like the face of the campaign. I honestly don't know. But this is the inside of the palette and what it looks like. The shades are pretty. I like these brights obviously down here. I'm not a fan for pressed glitters. Unfortunately, there are 247 of them in this palette, which sucks because I'm not a fan of pressed glitters. These neutrals up here are so pretty, especially this Seek shade. It's so pretty and vibrant. It's like a burgundy brown, so pretty. These pressed glitters down here, they are pretty, but I would be surprised if I really use those. I will try to use them in tutorials, but as far as like gravitating towards them, I really don't. The palette, I do want to give it a real good shot, so I'm gonna hold on to it for now. I may eventually declutter it, but these shades here are everything to me. Like they're so beautiful. I love them so much. So I'm just gonna hold on to this for now. This is the Morphe, I believe this is the 25L eyeshadow palette. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember. I don't have the box. I'm sorry. But this is the one that they did for Pride last year in 2020. This is what it looks like. I absolutely love and adore this palette. This purple is everything. This SF shade, it's like a deep maroon with micro glitter. Don't care for the micro glitter, but apparently they put micro glitter in mattes to make them blend better. But I love this shade. This Thrive shade is a shade I did not expect for me to fall in love with. It's like a pukey olive shade. Absolutely beautiful. This Liberation shade, so pretty. It's a duochrome. This palette overall, I really, really love it. I need to play around with it more, so obviously I'm going to hold on to it. Next is the Makeup Shack Rainforest palette. This is what the inside looks like. I absolutely love this palette. The quality of it is insane. The Makeup Shack, you don't really hear people talking about the quality of their shadows, but this palette, along with the, what's the other one called with the big square pans? It's another one that I like. I can't remember the name of it, but that one as well, the quality is amazing. These shades, this shade, they perform phenomenally. The shimmers are great too, but honestly, the mattes in this palette is where it's at. I don't know if this palette is still available. If it is, this is probably like one of 3 or 4 in this video that I will mention. You need to go out of your way to get. This palette is so amazing. Obviously, I'm not getting rid of it. Next is my Playing in Makeup by Yolando Jamrock eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside of it looks like. Very colorful. You have your neons, your very bright shades. You have your dark deepening shades. Just pretty much your typical rainbow colorful palette. Really love the quality. The pigmentation of this palette is insane. I have not used this palette as much as I want to, but the quality is insane. Waistline, colors, what else? Goody or Gutty. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Sorry if I'm not. Those shades, I'll swatch them real quick. And Goody. Like, do you see that? Well, Gutty didn't pick up that well on camera, but those shades are so pigmented, insanely beautiful. Love this palette. I don't play with this palette, and I have not played with this palette as much as I want to, so I need to hold on to her for a bit to give this a really good go. Although I do love the quality and pigmentation of this palette, I feel like eventually I would let this palette go, only because I have similar shades in other palettes that I tend to reach for more. It's not to say that this palette isn't good, it's just I tend to reach for those more. So for now, I'm gonna hold on to it because I do wanna play around with it a bit more before I ultimately decide to just get rid of her. So for now, she's gonna be kept. Next is the Playing in Makeup by Yolando Jamrock Colored Wasakana Pastel Eyeshadow Palette. I had to say that so slow because I don't know if it's Wasachana or Wasakana. I don't know. I hope I'm not butchering that word, but love the packaging. I think it's really, really pretty, and you can clearly tell based on the palette it's a pastel theme palette. This is what the inside of her looks like. She is so pretty. She just has about every pastel shade you can think of. I love this palette, and I feel like obviously because the owner of the company is a woman of color, when she made this palette, she wanted to make sure that it could show on deeper skin tones, and it does. I love this palette. This was everything that the Lorac I Love Brunch pastel palette should have been or tried to been. But of course, it did not cater to deeper skin, so that's why that one was ultimately trash. This one is so pretty. I've been pretty much trying to get out of my comfort zone and get more pastel theme palettes. So I picked this one up, and she is very pretty. I love the quality, how it performs and everything. I do need to give this a go. I feel like eventually I'll get rid of all my other pastel theme eyeshadow palettes and just keep this one because of how good this is. So I'm gonna keep this. Next is the Playing in Makeup by Yolando Jamrock No Limitations eyeshadow palette. Very pretty outside packaging. I know it's not the best, but I think it's just really pretty. It catches my eye. But this is what the inside looks like. As you can see, oh, gotta take this cover off, sorry. The colors are so beautiful. Like this Becky shade, Dolly, Linda, Lorith, Renee. All these shades are so pretty. I'll swatch a couple of them. I'll do Becky and Linda, and let's do Renee. Renee didn't swatch that well, but very, very beautiful shades. Do you see Becky? And she's like pretty much beaming. But this palette, very pretty. It's not something that's like, oh my gosh, it's so innovative, but no, the quality is so there. Very beautiful. Like every shade I'm looking at, and I'm just like, wow, that's a beautiful shade. Even this Patsy shade, which is like this olive green color, Nancy, just really, really beautiful palette. I need to play with this more, but very beautiful palette. I'm gonna hold on to it. Next is the Beauty Bay Sunset Horizons eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. I did a swatch video on this palette, and if you haven't seen it, then you are missing out because this palette is just amazing. I love the quality. I love the way that it performed. Even these pudgy shades, they're like almost like the ColourPop Super Shock Shadow consistency. Don't really care for that consistency, but the quality itself of the shades are really, really beautiful and really, really, really good. The shades Moonlight, Sorbet, Thunder, Hibiscus, Twilight, Flamingo, just amazing how they perform. Absolutely love and adore this palette. I believe this palette is limited edition, but it still is available on the Beauty Bay website for now. So if you can, get your hands on it before it disappears, because this palette is really, really great. So obviously I'm holding on to it. Next is the Beauty Bay New Romantic eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Another Beauty Bay palette that I did a swatch video for. Even in that video, I absolutely love the quality of this palette. I love the shades. I love how they performed. These shades, Claret, Mars, even Ink. I know Ink is just a regular black shade, but it's so beautiful. It's so pigmented, amazing quality. This shade, Chintz, so pretty. Again, it has the quality of the, not the quality, but the consistency of the ColourPop Super Shock shadows. I don't know why I get so tongue-tied when I say that. I don't know if I'm the only one that does that, but it drives me nuts that I always get tongue-tied when I talk about the Super Shock shadows. But even this shade Chintz, it's so pretty. I love, love, love Beauty Bay quality eyeshadows. Yeah, obviously I will not be getting rid of this. Next is the Nikki Tutorials and Beauty Bay eyeshadow palette collaboration. Don't know if this even has a name or if it's just Nikki Tutorials and Beauty Bay, but anyways, this is how it looks. Just in case you haven't seen it, then you've been living under a rock pretty much. Love the packaging. It's kind of like alter ego. I don't know if like that was the theme behind the palette. I honestly didn't watch the video. I'm sorry. I love Nikki. I just didn't watch the video to see what was the meaning behind the palette and how she designed it or why she designed it the way she did. But really love the palette. This is how the inside looks like. Remove the protective sheet. So these are the shades. I just got this palette. Reason being is I was on the fence about it, but there's a YouTuber that I really love her content, Make Me Up Missa. She had so many problems with this palette, and I was ultimately waiting for her opinion to decide on whether or not I want to get it. The first time she tried the palette, she had a hard time. The second time it was better, but it wasn't that great. And then the third time she tried the palette, it was just phenomenal. The third time she tried it, Beauty Bay just so happened to be having this on sale, so I figured why not snatch it up. So I do want to give this palette a go. There are some really, really pretty shades. From what I've heard from everyone regarding this palette, the shimmers are everything. I heard the shimmers just perform beautifully. I'm more so for the mattes. Reason being is because, you know, I have my BH Tropicana, my BH Club Tropicana eyeshadow palette. So when I get palettes, it's mainly for the mattes because I gravitate towards that palette for the shimmers. But I am looking forward to seeing how this performs. And the color story is all over the place, but it's really, really pretty. I like the fact how this side is like girly and, you know, prissy and whatever, and then this side is like really, really grungy. So yeah, I'm gonna hold on to this. Yet another Beauty Bay palette. This is the Bright Mattes palette, which is 42 just mattes in this palette. There's another one that has mattes and shimmers. Like I said, with my Club Tropicana palette, I really don't gravitate towards a palette for the shimmers. It's mainly mattes. So this was right up my alley. This pretty much has every color you can think of. The quality is so good. The pigmentation is there. I just love Beauty Bay quality eyeshadows. This one is another one that totally knocked it out of the park. Very inexpensive. I believe this palette is about $20, but then it goes on sale so often for about 10 to 15. So great quality, great pan sizes. The performance is just amazing. I just love Beauty Bay eyeshadows. So obviously I'm going to be keeping this one as well. You know what, let me just do some swatches for y'all real quick. I'm gonna do Stormy Night. I'm gonna do Bobbing Along, Pacific Dreams, and let's see, Poppin' Poppy. Look at that. Look how beautiful those are. Like I said, the quality is just there, the blendability, everything. So yeah, if you haven't already, get your hands on this palette. Love it. Next is the Revolution and Alexis Stone Instinct eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. So I actually really, really like this palette. I like that it goes from lightest to darkest, so you can clearly build up your gradients when creating an eyeshadow look, especially if you're doing monochromatic or if you have a problem with color theory and, you know, you just need a palette that'll help you get the darkest, the next darkest or the previous lightest hue when creating a look, especially monochromatic. I do really like this palette, but I'm going to get rid of it. Reason being, the Beauty Bay Bright Matte palette I got after this one, and I tend to reach for that one a lot more than this one. Not to say that there's anything wrong with the quality of this palette, it's just I don't reach for it, and I know I won't reach for it. The times that I have used it, I really love the look that I created. These grays I absolutely love. These blues I absolutely love. The purples, the pinks, like this whole palette is just really great, really pretty. It's just I know I'm not going to reach for it, so I'm going to get rid of it. I'll do a few quick swatches just to show y'all that the palette is really, really pretty. And I hope as I'm swatching this doesn't make me change my mind about keeping the palette. Yeah, the quality is really, really good. I love how these perform. They're just beautiful shades. It's just I prefer my Beauty Bay Bright Matte palette over this one. So yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this. Next is the Revolution Alexis Stone Transformation palette. This goes with the Instinct palette. Obviously the Instinct is all matte, so this would clearly be the all shimmer one. I have all these shades in my collection. I will also be getting rid of this palette because I just don't reach for it. I don't gravitate towards it. Reason being is like I said, I have these shades in other palettes, and then not only just that, I prefer those shades in other palettes over this one. Not to say that there's anything wrong with this one, because it's really not. Really, really love how these perform as well. Clearly, they're your duochrome shades. And like I said, I just don't reach for these. So obviously if I'm getting rid of the matte palette, I'm going to be getting rid of this one as well. Next is the Profusion Spectrum eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like, closer up at least. Love this palette. It was a $5 palette. The performance is great. I love Profusion shadows. These shades, Ember, Totally, Bermuda, and Peacock, my favorite in the whole palette. Just your typical rainbow themed palette, has your colors that you would need for a colorful look. But yeah, I mainly use these for transition shades or lid shades. I don't really use these for crease shades because they're not really deep enough to do so. But packed on the lid or just even as a transition shade palette, these are really, really great. Like I said, $5 palette, inexpensive. The quality is great. The pan sizes are pretty much huge. I'm keeping it. Next is the Makeup Obsession London's Calling eyeshadow palette. Just recently got this palette when I saw it was on sale. I went back and forth with this palette for a long time on whether or not I wanted to get it, and then it went on sale, so that was pretty much all the justification I needed to get it. Very grungy themed. I think this palette is normally $15 or $20 and went on sale for about $5, so I figured why the hell not. These shades down here are absolutely calling me. I think they're so pretty. Crown is a pretty like shimmery gold champagne-y shade. So I haven't played around with this, just got this not too long ago. I like the fact that you can remove the pans from the palette itself. But yeah, I'm looking forward to playing around with this, so I'm gonna keep it. Next is my Be Bella Cosmetics Cool Breeze eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Another rainbow themed palette, but a little on the lighter side of the rainbow spectrum. This shade right here, what is this called? Coral Crush. Really pretty shade. Bali's beautiful. Just really pretty color story, right up my alley. I absolutely love the quality of this palette along with the other palette in this collection, the Dreaming in Color palette. So I like the fact that this one has more mattes than shimmers. Well, actually both of them are pretty matte dominated, but more so this one, I'm really happy that they didn't put too many shimmers in this one. And I like the shimmers that they did choose to use, which was this shade and this shade right here. It's kind of hard to tell some of the shade names because of the handwriting. It looks like script, but it's really not, and it's just really, really difficult to read. So that's like my only gripe with this palette, as well as the other one in this collection. But other than that, it's really pretty. Love the quality, so I'm gonna keep this. Next is the Be Bella Cosmetics Dreaming in Color eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. So surprisingly enough, this one I actually like more than the other one. Not that there's anything wrong with that one, it's just that this palette gives you like your deeper crease shades and deepening shades and stuff like that. The shades that I absolutely love in this palette is Black, Cherry, and Midnight, as well as Indigo. I'll swatch them for you guys real quick. Like, I just really love the pigmentation. Look at that. You see how pretty that indigo shade is? So think about it. If there's no primer or anything on my arm I'm swatching these, imagine with a primer how vibrant they'd be. They blend so good. I know purples tend to be really hard to formulate and they can come off really patchy, but every time I've used this black cherry shade, I've been thoroughly impressed. I love how it performs. I love the color payoff. Obviously, I'm going to keep this palette as well. Next is my Rude Cosmetics Rude Flicks City of Pastel Lights eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Obviously, it is a neon themed palette. Really pretty color story. I pretty much got this palette because I have other Rude Cosmetics palettes, but I haven't played with any of them, and I really just wanted to test the overall quality of them. Although this palette is cute and it is pretty much the aesthetic I've been really liking lately as far as neons go, I feel like I'm not gonna keep this. I do have high hopes for how this performs, but the reason I feel like I'm not gonna keep it is because I recently got the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette that I've been eyeing forever, and luckily I found it on Mercari brand new for a really good price, so I'm happy about that. And not just that, I have the Plain and Makeup Yolando palette that you've seen a couple of minutes ago, the Pastel Wash Sakana palette. Since that one pretty much has those pastels in it and a more variety of them, I feel like it would make more sense to keep that one over this one, but I am still looking forward to playing with this. So as of right now, I am going to hold on to it, but I know eventually I am going to get rid of this. Oh, and I just realized when I was talking about this palette, I kept referring to it as neons. I meant to say pastels. Obviously, Alicia, it says pastel lights. But yeah, still overall, I feel like I'm going to eventually get rid of this palette. So, but as for now, I'm just going to hold on to it until I play with it. Next is the Rude Cosmetics City of Neon Lights. Now, this is the neon themed palette. This is what the inside looks like. She's so pretty. She has shimmers, she has mattes. Unfortunately, I have not gotten a chance to play around with this. I recently got this maybe 2 months ago, I want to say. Pregnancy brain was whipping my ass, y'all. So I know I got it recently. I just can't remember the time frame. But yeah, this palette is so me, so pretty. I love all the blues and the green shades and then your pops of pinks and corals and stuff like that. But this is another palette I feel like I would get rid of simply because I have others in my collection. The determining factor of me keeping this palette is if for some reason this would outperform the other palettes. And then in that case, obviously I would be keeping this one and then get rid of that one. It would make sense to keep this one because it is smaller, so it's easier to store and stuff like that. But I still do want to play around with it, and who knows, I may just keep this one even if the other one is better, just because I really love the theme of the palette and the aesthetic and everything. So for right now, I'm going to hold on to it. This is another Makeup Revolution and Tammy collaboration. This is the Tropical Carnival eyeshadow palette. Just in case you didn't see my previous videos, I mentioned before I absolutely love and adore Tammy. So all her palettes I wind up getting. This one I'm gonna keep. I love this one so much. This one is actually my favorite out of the 3 that she's released. I love the fact that you can create monochromatic looks with this palette. I like that there's corresponding shimmers and mattes. So I have nothing bad to say about this palette whatsoever. Only bad thing is I wish I played with it more. Other than that, I really, really love this palette. So obviously I'm going to keep it. Next is the Tammy X Revolution Tropical Twilight eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. This one is the biggest one out of all of the collaborations. It also has the most finishes and the most versatility. The only thing I did not like about this palette is the pressed glitters that's in it. I don't care for pressed glitters. I love loose glitter, but not pressed glitter. And then some of these shades have that spongy consistency like the ColourPop Super Shock shadows. And y'all know I don't care for those either. Other than that, I love the mattes in this palette. I love this whole row down here, and then Horizon and Sundown as well. I'm gonna swatch Nightfall for you, Night Walk, and Horizon. And Firefly is pretty too, even though it's a pressed glitter. I'm going to swatch that so y'all can see it too. Look at that. Like I said, I'm not a fan of pressed glitter, but absolutely pretty. Love this palette, love Tammy. Gonna keep it, obviously. Next is the BH Cosmetics Naughty Eyeshadow Palette. This one came out this past Christmas. This is what the inside looks like. Just in case you haven't seen my swatch videos for this palette, this one came out with a smaller one called the Nice Palette. The Nice Palette was absolutely atrocious. I hated the quality, I hated the performance, the size of the pans, everything was just a total miss. Now this, on the other hand, totally blew it out of the water. This by itself should just been the palette that they released because the quality was just amazing. The blendability, just, I have nothing bad to say about this palette, and this is actually one of my favorite BH Cosmetics palettes that I do have in my collection. Obviously I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to do some swatches of my favorite shades real quick. Candy Fruit, Ho Ho Ho, let's see, Rudolph, Candy Cane, and Sugar Plum, just to show y'all how these look. Absolutely beautiful. Love this palette. I will never, ever, 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 ever get rid of this palette. That's how much I love it. Next is the Cara Beauty Cara Duo Goddess Nem eyeshadow palette. I'm trying not to blind you. It's just, this is a silver package and it's somewhat reflective. But this is what the inside looks like. It comes with a mirror. I'm just not trying to blind you all, but this is what the inside looks like. Really pretty palette. Funny enough, this is not me. Like, I can admit that this is not the type of palette I would normally gravitate towards. Funny enough, I wanted a grayscale palette for a while, only because of different hues of gray. I have gray shadows in my collection, but nothing quite like these. Some of them look very similar, but swatched out they do show up differently, and I love the fact that they don't look ashy on deeper skin tones. Of course, Jeffree Star came out with the cremated palette, which was like a grayscale theme palette. I was not going to support him, but luckily Cara Beauty came out with their own palette, and of course, you know, I love the quality of their shadows. I love how affordable it is. So of course when it came out, I hopped on it. Only thing is that pressed glitter. Why? It's very pretty, but just, I'm gonna attempt to use it, but I really don't care for it. But these grays right here, so pretty. I'll swatch a few of them. And then what the hell, I'll do the pressed glitter too, because I know there are some of you that do like pressed glitters. Look at that. And like I said, the grays, they do look very similar, but as you can see, swatched out, they're very different. So of course, you know, I'm going to keep this for any palettes or any looks that I may need grays for. This is perfect for it and very affordable, so I'm gonna keep this. Next is the Makeup Revolution and Patricia Bright Rich in Color eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. If I could get it open. Okay. This is what the inside looks like. Of course, you know, I absolutely love this palette just based on looking at it. Of course, it has pressed glitters, don't care for. Other than that, I love the palette itself. I love that it's very matte dominated. I love the performance of a lot of these shades. Unfortunately, I do not play with it as much as I want to. So of course I have to change that. Just to give you all some quick swatches, I'm gonna do Nobu, Backstage, Miss Tropicana, and No Exit, just to show y'all how these look. Look how beautiful those are. So yeah, obviously I'm going to keep this. I need to play around with it. Next is the Violet Voss Essentials eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Very neutral color story, very basic. I did get this palette because I just wanted to try the Violet Voss quality. I hear that it's hit or miss. Looking at it, I need to just give this up because I don't feel inspired looking at it. These shades, too similar for my liking. I can find a black anywhere. I can find a deep emerald shade anywhere. This shade is very pretty. I could find a terracotta anywhere. So there's really no need for me to hold on to this. So I am going to get rid of this. Next are a bunch of my Ace Beauty eyeshadow palettes. The first one is the Nostalgia palette. This is what the inside of it looks like. Very pretty color story. I have not gotten around to using this. I got this a while back. I am gonna try to play around with it. I know I have these shades in other palettes and overall in my collection, but I tend to like the Ace Beauty quality. I might ultimately give this up even if I do like it. I just do want to play around with it and give it a go though. So for now, I'm just gonna hold on to it. Next is the Ace Beauty Oceanic palette. This is what the inside looks like. This has been discontinued for a while. I was lucky enough to find it brand new on Mercari for a really great price, so I got it. And then funny enough, now Ace Beauty has it back on the website, which is pretty cool because you hear so many good things about this palette. I just recently got it within the last week, so obviously I haven't had a chance to play around with it, but you know I love blue eyeshadows, and this is very ocean themed. The greens are very pretty. I really can't wait to play around with this, so I'm gonna hold on to this for now. Next is the Ace Beauty Flare eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Very pretty color story. These shades down here, absolutely love them, obsessed with them. Pumpkin is so pretty. Mulberry is like a muted mauve shade. It's very pretty. I'll swatch it for you real quick, along with Moss and Sorbet or Sherbet. I don't know, how do y'all say it? Let me know down below, how do y'all say it? Because everybody says it differently. And I'm also gonna do Forest Pine. So these are what those 4 shades look like. Do you see that? That muted mauve mulberry shade is so pretty and unique. I don't believe I have anything like that in my collection, believe it or not. So yeah, I haven't played with this palette nearly as much as I wanted to, so I'm gonna hold on to it. This may be one of 2 or 3 Ace Beauty palettes that I actually keep. I feel like I'll eventually get rid of the rest of them, but for right now I'm gonna hold on to this one. Next is my Ace Beauty Classical Paradise eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. This is your very fall themed palette. I love this golden apple shade. It's like a muted olive. This clay is a really nice red. This soil is like a deep in burgundy. Really pretty palette. Have not played with it. Wait, have I played with? No, I don't believe I have played with this one. I wound up getting the collection. This is the one I was most excited for, but I still just haven't gotten a chance to play around with it. I do want to though, so I'm gonna hold on to this one as well. Next is the Ace Beauty Slice of Paradise eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Very pretty color story. Don't play around with it as much as I want to. Absolutely love the shades Peacock, Honeyberry, and Macaw. Bluebell is very pretty too. Funny enough, I will play with this a couple of more times before ultimately giving it up. It's not that there's anything wrong with the palette, it's just that these shades are in other palettes that I prefer more in those palettes, and I gravitate towards those more than this one. So with that being said, I know as of right now I'm not ready to give up, but I know by the end of this year she'll be gone. So for right now, I'm gonna hold on to it. Next is the Ace Beauty Paradise Fallen eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Now, if you know me, you know I love purple eyeshadows as well as blue eyeshadows, so you know I absolutely adore this palette. The quality is good. The pigmentation is there. Purples, you know, they are harder to formulate. These actually don't give a hard time whatsoever. It's just I don't really gravitate towards this palette, even though it is probably my favorite out of the whole collection that was released. I feel like this would be the one that I keep, but realistically it would just be for collection purposes. I don't reach for this much, and I really should, because every time I've used this palette I've really enjoyed this. I will try to get some more use out of it. I'm not quite ready to give it up yet. So for now, I am just gonna hold on to it. Next is the Ace Beauty Blossom Passion eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. Very pretty color story. I love the different tones of red and pinks. I love that they give you deepening shades as well as light shades as well. This is a really, really good transition shade if you're someone my skin tone or a little bit darker. Overall, the quality of this is really good. This peony shade, it's not anything new or original, but it's my favorite in the palette. I don't use this as much as I should. I am going to try to get some more use out of it, but I feel like ultimately I will eventually get rid of this palette. It's just right now I'm still going to hold on to her for a bit. Next is my Bombshell Cosmetica Candylicious eyeshadow palette. This is what the inside looks like. It sucks that this company is so full of crap and they don't ever send out orders when they're supposed to, because this palette is so freaking good. The people that have been fortunate enough to get their orders when placed through this company will also tell you that the quality is good. I love the aesthetic. I love the attention to details and everything. It's just the company itself is just really, they're shitty, and it sucks because their ideas are really great. Their execution is really great. I love everything about the company except for how it's ran. With that being said, obviously I'm going to hold on to this palette. I do need to use it more, but yeah, overall I do love this eyeshadow palette so much. Next is my NYX Escape Artist eyeshadow palette. This is, you can already see what it looks like, but I'll open it up so that you don't have a glare. This is such a beautiful palette. The color story is amazing. It's very neutral base, but the quality is there. These are one of the more expensive NYX palettes. I believe these are what, $40, $45 depending on where you live. If you can, wait to get these on sale. Ulta's always having like buy one get one half off when it comes to NYX stuff. That's when I suggest you should get it. But if you're one of those people that can't wait, just go out and splurge on it. You will not be disappointed. Every shade in here, the quality is just good. The pigmentation, everything. Wow, looking at it, I really use this palette a lot. Like, I have deep dig marks in it and I don't even remember using it much. Wow. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It's bad that I don't remember using it, but it's good that obviously if I have all these marks in it, that means I enjoy it, so therefore I keep coming back to it. Just a couple of quick swatches. Just this one, that one, this one, this one, and of course you gotta do the blue. Like, look at that. Such beautiful shades. I know that I'm going to play around with this a bit, but I know I'm gonna eventually get rid of this. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just the fact that I know I have these shades. They're so neutral that I can get these in just about any other palette. Even just looking at these, I'm looking at more shades, like this nice muted pumpkin shade. Just really pretty. This purple, swatch these for you too. Like, they're just so pretty and they blend beautifully. They apply nicely. Like, I honestly have nothing bad to say about them except for the price. But then again, the quality, and it is 2, 4, 6, 8, 40 eyeshadows for $40. So you're pretty much paying $1 per pan. So when you break it down like that, that's really not a bad price. But for drugstore, I understand it is more on the expensive side. I do feel like it's totally worth it though. So I am gonna hold on to this. Next is my NYX Ultimate Utopia eyeshadow palette. I know you guys can't see it, but just to open it up so there's no glare, this is what the inside looks like. Okay, so this palette, I feel like is probably one of the best eyeshadow palettes that NYX has ever come out with. The color story is amazing. The quality, blendability, everything about this palette is perfection, minus the price. But even though this is expensive for a drugstore, I feel like the $40 is totally worth the price point because of the quality. I would even pay $50 for this. That's how good it is. If you don't have this in your collection, I highly implore that you need to get it. I could literally swatch every shade in this palette because they're that good. So it would be difficult for me to just pick a couple. Just off the top of my, just based off memory alone, I'm gonna swatch the ones I feel like perform the best, but even that is stretching it because they all performed amazingly. So this is just what these look like real quick. Like the quality is so good. That's what I said, this palette is so worth the money. Even with it being $40, I feel like don't even wait for it to go on sale. Just totally get it because that's how amazing it is. Obviously, based off that alone, you know I'm not getting rid of this palette. I don't think I'd ever get rid of this palette. I feel like these are one of the few palettes in my collection that I could hit pan in and repurchase it over and over again just because I can't get enough of it. So I'm going to keep this. Next, I'm just going to run through the Crayon Case Notepad Mini eyeshadow palettes. Now, a lot of these I already did looks with, but I lost the footage, so I have to refilm them. I'm actually getting rid of a lot of these, but until I refilm the looks, I'm going to have to hold on to them for now. But just to let you know which ones I did plan on getting rid of, it's this one, which is the black one. The quality is great. I love the pigmentation. I just feel like I have these shades all over my collection. There's no need to keep them. I love the attention to details and the fact that it really does look like a mini notebook to take notes. Like I said, I do have to hold on to these to recreate the looks that I lost the footage for, but this will be going. The orange notepad, this one will be going as well. Like I said, I loved the quality of these. Some performed better than others. Some I feel like the shades were too similar. If you haven't seen my swatch videos for these, they're on my channel, so just give those a look. The price for these is really good, especially considering how big the pan size is, the attention to details, and just the overall aesthetic of it. This is another one I will be getting rid of, but not until I recreate the looks that I lost. The purple one. This one I'm on the fence about. It performed good, but I've had better. Depending on how it goes again this time around, it'll ultimately help me decide if I'm keeping it or not. But for now, it's gonna be kept. Next is the red Notepad Mini. This one is really, really pretty. It reminds me of the Ace Beauty, the Blossom Paradise, the classical, whatever one that was red themed. It reminds me of that one. It's gonna ultimately come down between this palette and that palette, and then I'll decide which one I'm gonna keep because it doesn't make sense to keep them both. For now, I'm just gonna hold on to this one. The blue palette, obviously I'm keeping. If you've seen the swatch videos, you know that this one was the absolute best. If you are looking for a blue-based eyeshadow palette and you don't want to break the bank for it, this is a good option along with the BH Cosmetics Bubblegum eyeshadow palette from the Sweet Shop collection. That was the one that was blue-based. The pan sizes in that one are big and they're circular, and it's a little bit more expensive. It's $18, but the quality is there, and it has 4 shimmers, 4 mattes. Between that palette and this palette, these would pretty much be the only 2 blue-based palettes that you would need in your collection. Obviously, I'm keeping this one. Next is the green Notepad Mini eyeshadow palette. This one, it performed really well. I really, really love this green. I'm not sure if I'm gonna hold on to it or not. When I give my second go round of playing with it, I'll ultimately make the decision, but for now I'm just gonna keep it. The pink Notepad Mini. This is what the inside looks like. Performed really well. As you can see, I have similar pinks just based in this video alone. I will ultimately get rid of this. It's just for now I'm gonna hold on to it until I recreate my look. So yeah. And of course the yellow Notepad Mini. This one I'm going to get rid of. Reason being that the shades are too similar. I really, really like this pale muted yellow shade. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did, but I absolutely adore it. But I know I have another pastel yellow like this in my collection, so there's no need for me to keep it. Once the look is recreated, I'm just gonna get rid of this one as well. So all in all, out of all 8 of these, I know that I'm definitely getting rid of 4 of them, which is the black, orange, and pink. I'm definitely keeping the blue one, and I'm on the fence still about the green, red, and purple. Next is the Violet Voss Fruit Sorbet Fun Size Eyeshadow Palette. This is what the inside looks like. This is yet another Violet Voss eyeshadow palette that I bought because I was interested in and wanted to try out. I've had this for maybe a year now, and I don't know, I just lost interest in this palette. It's really cute. Unfortunately, for some reason, I get Violet Voss eyeshadow palettes, then lose interest in them and wind up giving them away or just getting rid of them or selling them. So this is another palette, unfortunately, that I did lose interest in. I didn't swatch it. So, and then I know there are other palettes that I've received after this palette that I'm more interested in, and I know that I would reach for more. So I'm gonna get rid of this. So this is the Moira Beauty or the Moira Cosmetics Never Ending Lights eyeshadow palette. This packaging is absolutely beautiful. The design, everything is gorgeous. I actually discovered this company because they showed up on my explore page on Instagram, and I had showed my boyfriend this palette in particular, and he was so sweet. He wound up getting me this palette along with a bunch of other ones since I had never tried the company. And you guys already know when it comes to gifts, I don't give them away. I don't sell them or anything. I keep them forever. So with that being said, you already know this palette along with the other ones that came from this company I'm keeping because my boyfriend bought them for me. But this is how the inside of them looks like. Well, this palette at least looks. The color story is beautiful. The packaging, the design, everything. Normally, I hate pans that are shaped like this, like they're all over the place. But these I can tolerate because they're just so beautifully executed. I love the color story in this one. These 2 shades are very similar. This one is more purple tone, this one is more pinky tone. This lime shade is calling to me, this deep green shade, just absolutely beautiful. And then I don't know if my camera is picking it up, but this is a black matte and it has multi-dimensional micro glitter in it. So beautiful. I want to do swatches for y'all real quick, but then I don't want to touch it because it's so pretty. I'm just gonna go for it. Okay, so I'm gonna go for the lime. I'm gonna go for this shade, and I'm gonna go for this shade and this one next to it, and just quickly swatch them for y'all. Oh, those are really pretty. They feel, some of them felt buttery. 2 of them felt buttery, 2 of them felt dry, but these are very, very pretty colors. I can't wait to play around with this palette. She is just beautiful. This color story is everything. So yeah, obviously I'm keeping it. Oh, and I just turned it over and realized that the shades actually have the names on the back. Thing about this though is, oh, you know what? They actually did it the right way. That's so cool. Okay, normally palettes that have the shade layouts in the back, you can never tell, like, okay, is this going right to left or left to right? This one, they laid it out exactly how the palette is and put the names on it. The thing that's cool is 2 of the shapes don't even have names. I'm sorry, 2 of the shades don't have names. They just have shapes for names. That's actually really cool, and I just noticed that. So yeah, even more of a reason to hold on to this. This packaging, the color story is just so beautiful. Next is the Moira Tropical State of Mind eyeshadow palette, and this is from the Exotic series. This packaging, yet again, absolutely beautiful, colorful, catches my attention. Let me see the back. Okay, so the back, it doesn't say or show the shade names. Maybe they're on the palette itself. Let's open it up and see. Okay, so the shade names are on the palette itself, and this is freaking sick. Like, this is so beautiful. I've never seen a palette do this where It has 4 shades like this in the middle, or just in general, and then it's a picture that's engraved in it. That is so unique. I don't know if you, hold on, let me see if my camera can pick it up. Okay, hopefully you can. That is so, that is actually really interesting. That's so sick. Okay, these colors are everything. I want to swatch every damn shade, but I can't because then I'd be here all damn day. Okay, just the shades that are calling out to me. Of course, this deep blue, this orange, this like fuchsia. Oh, that one felt so buttery. And oh gosh, there's so many I want to do. Let me do this red. The red, it's actually, it didn't feel buttery, but it didn't feel dry. And I'm actually surprised because reds tend to feel dry. Wow, I'm shocked by the red. I expected it to feel really dry and it didn't. Oh, that blue. This fuchsia. Okay, it's more of a hot pink. And then the red is not really picking up like a true red. It's almost picking up like an orange undertone a little. It's okay, it is red. It's more so on the red side and not towards the orange side. So it's more true red than I expected. But dude, look at these. These are beautiful. Yeah, I'm definitely holding on to this. Like I said, it was a gift from my boyfriend. I love that he supports my makeup habits and just supports me doing makeup in general. So yeah, this is what this looks like, and I'm keeping her as well. This is the Moira Like a Princess eyeshadow palette, and it's from the Exotic series as well. Let's see. Okay, so along with the other one, I'm assuming the shades are on the inside. And yes, it is. Okay, so I'm noticing a theme with these palettes. The colors that's on the on the outside of the palette are on the inside. And I don't know if my camera is picking this up, but this is freaking sick. Okay, this is one whole picture split into 4 different pans. So as you can see, it's 2 swans kissing. This is freaking insane. Clearly, like I said, the color story matches the outside of the palette, so this is going to be our pastel theme palette. I already swatched the mattes from the other palettes. Now I'm gonna swatch the shimmers to see how they perform. So do this one. Ooh, that one felt buttery. Not buttery, creamy. Oh my gosh. And then it has like a multi-dimensional. Okay, I hope this swatch is good because that shade is beautiful. And just for the hell of it, I'm gonna do this pastel blue. Okay, this is buttery as heck too. I wish, even though these are different undertones, I wish they did 2 different blues. This one is more like a powder blue. This one is more like a periwinkle. Let me swatch them real quick to see how they look. Yeah, that blue is more a powder blue. Oh my gosh. Holy crap. Oh my god, those shimmers. And this one is a duochrome. This one is like a white gold. Holy crap, look how reflective it is. Okay, I'm fucking shocked. Okay, this is so beautiful. Obviously, I'm keeping it too. Oh my gosh. This is another Moira Beauty or Moira Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. This is the Flirting Flamingos palette, and it's from the Exotic palette series as well. Based on the other palettes, the color story pretty much matches on the outside what's in the inside. So beautiful packaging. Love the color story, so let's just open it up. This is what the inside looks like. This shade Fancy is a pressed glitter, and I think it is so pretty, which is weird because I normally cannot stand pressed glitters. It's like a bubblegum pink with like lime green and yellow reflex in it. This shade as well, Wonderland, it's a purple pressed glitters. Don't really care for pressed glitters, but this Fancy shade is really beautiful. I love this shade Empress. It's like a burgundy brown shade. And this shade Supermoon, this is like a neon yellow. So let me just do some quick swatches of these real quick. That and this. And that. And try the neon orange as well. The neon shades feel really buttery. This matte shade feels buttery as well. And of course, Fancy is a pressed glitter, so it feels buttery as well. Really surprised because these shades tend to feel dry when I've felt them in other palettes or just different formulas. So it's kind of interesting that it has that buttery feel to it. So. And those are the swatches. Those shades are really pretty. So this is how it looks. You see that pressed glitter? It really does have like such a pretty reflect. I don't know. Okay, this seems like it stays in place, but someone like me that has semi-hooded eyelids, I would use a glitter glue anyway to keep it down. But yeah, the color story is really pretty. My boyfriend, like I said, got me this one as well, so you know I won't be giving this away or getting rid of this ever, so I'm definitely holding on to this one as well. Next is the Moira Beauty or Moira Cosmetics. I need to find out if they're Moira Beauty or Moira Cosmetics because I feel bad I don't know which one is which. But this is the Wild in Colors eyeshadow palette. This one as well is from the Exotic series. Beautiful peacocks. So you already know based on the color story on the packaging, it's going to be the same color story on the inside. So let's just open this up. This is one of the other ones that I actually saw before my boyfriend got it for me, so I already knew what to expect. So pretty. This is a pressed glitter, Tropical Goddess, Lost in Paradise. It looks like a regular shimmer, and I believe In the Stars is a pressed glitter as well. I'm not going to try out the pressed glitters. I'm going to try out different shades. This blue, this purple, I want to swatch. This as well. Okay, so when I first saw the picture of this shade, which is called Relax, I just thought it was a black. It's actually like a deep purple, like a royal purple shade. So that one I want to swatch as well. And maybe even this green shade Dare. This one feels, it doesn't feel dry, but it doesn't feel as buttery as the other mattes that we felt. This one definitely feels dry, this shade right here. This blue shade, ooh, this feels really buttery, wow. And this green shade, oh, you know what? I'm not going to do the green. I'm going to do this shade, Lost in Paradise. Yeah, and this shade is creamy. Wow, okay. It has like a putty consistency. I don't know if you see my finger like already made a dip in it. Like the Super Shock Shadows, it almost feels wet. So that I wasn't expecting. So, oh, wow. Yeah, that purple shade is so pretty. And then this one. Yeah, gorgeous. Okay, so looking at this, this isn't really, it's like a purplish blue, like a true navy blue, but it has like a purplish undertone to it. It's hard to explain, but that is insane. Just from one swatch, you saw how pigmented it was, and just to smooth it out, I went over it one more time. These shades are like ridiculously pigmented. Even that shimmer shade is so pretty. It's like a green with like a mossy green undertone with like silver as well. It's hard to explain, but those shades, oh my gosh, that shade right there, that shade, I could bathe in that shade. But very pretty palette. Of course, I'm gonna keep this one as well. So yeah. Next is my Give Me Glow eyeshadow palette. Now this isn't one that they sell like already curated like this. I purchased the shades and just stuck them in the palette myself. You already seen my warm tone palette that I made a couple of videos again. So now this is gonna be my cool tone palette. Obviously, you know, the colors on here, cool tone, get it? Ha ha ha. Okay, moving along. So these are the shades of this one. Obviously, I wrote the shade names on the top right here so that I know which is which. Obviously, I'm not going to get rid of these. Such pretty shades. I don't even believe that some of these shades are still available, but I just love the quality of these shadows of Give Me Glow in general. The pan sizes are freaking huge. You can see how big they are based on my fat fingers being next to them. The pan sizes are huge. I don't think I could ever get through all of these shades, but I'm gonna damn sure try. I really love the quality of their shadows. I'll swatch a few shades. This is Girls Galore and High by the Beach, and I'll do Strawberry Lollipop, and then Let's see. Do Wink. I want to do Wine, but you know what? I'll do Wine too. And this is Wine. Just swatch them all. Look, you can see it on my fingers how pigmented they are. But let's just do some quick swatches. Look at that. Like, you see how it pretty much almost covered my tattoo? And this shade. Like, look how beautiful these is. Like, come on. This pretty much makes me the Tin Man. That's how, like, reflective and, like, it's such a pretty shade. All of these are pretty shades. Obviously, like I said, I love the quality of the eyeshadows. And this is a palette that I put together myself, so I'm definitely holding on to this. Next is the Give Me Glow Cosmetics Vivid Rose eyeshadow palette. I love the packaging of this, like all these roses. I know it's very girly and feminine for my liking, but I actually think it's so beautiful. This is the inside. The palette comes with a mirror, but these are the shades on the inside. Look how pretty they are. It's like your pinky purple tone palette. I'll do maybe 2 or 3 swatches. I'll do Pedal to the Metal. Give Me Glow has some of the most amazing shimmers on the market. They're a little bit on the expensive side, but because of the pan sizes and the quality, it's so well worth it. So I really have no complaints about that. But Pedal to the Metal, Pink Rosé, and Pink Peony. These are such beautiful shades. Just swatch them real quick for you. This is the swatches of those 3 shades. The whole palette in itself, I haven't used every shade, but from the looks I've seen created with this palette really does do wonders. I feel like I would pop out maybe 2 or 3 shades out of this and then declutter the rest of them. But for now, I know I do want to play around with all the shades and see exactly which ones I would like to keep and then all the ones I would ultimately get rid of. But for now, I'm going to hold on to it. Next is the Makeup Revolution and Patricia Bright eyeshadow palette. 2 came out in this collection. The other one was, I believe, Rich in Color, and this one is Rich in Life. This one is the neutral base one. Now, I know that I'm definitely keeping the color based one. This one, I don't know how I feel about it. Some days I think it's really pretty and I want to dive into it. Other days I'm just like, Alicia, you can get rid of this. I'm really on the fence about this because I honestly have not tried this out. I don't know. Some days, like I said, I just really am into it. And then other days I'm just like, this is too neutral for me. But I do want to give it a go. This is going to be one of those palettes that it really is probably going to come down to other eyeshadow palettes and what I prefer more. The Rich in Color one, I know I'm not going to get rid of at all. But this one may get the boot. As of right now, I'm on the fence. So right now, I'm gonna hold on to it, but I don't know. I think this may eventually be gotten rid of because I haven't even swatched this palette and I've had this palette for a while. So for now, I'm gonna hold on to it, but I think I'm gonna just eventually declutter it. Next is the I Heart Revolution Chocolate Revolution eyeshadow palette. This is called, I'm sorry, the Chocoholic palette. And this was limited edition. I think this was only available in a box set that came with like a lip gloss, a spray, and another mini eyeshadow palette. But this is what the inside of this one looks like. Very neutral based. It has your few pops of color. This is another one that I'm on the fence about. Some days I'm all for it, and then other days I'm like, Alicia, you can get rid of that. You don't need it. But I do like the color story. I like this pale yellow shade. I like this orange, this purple, this sand color. It is a very pretty palette. It is just very neutral based. And I kind of wish that the colors were grouped together accordingly, like the Patricia Bright Live in Life palette that I just talked about. What is it? Live in Life? Yeah, Rich in Life, excuse me. The Rich in Life palette I just spoke about. I wish that they were color coordinated. So I wish all the browns were together, all the shimmers were together, all the purples were together. That way I could better assess if I really want to get rid of this or not. But because the colors are all over the place, it's making me think that I want it more than I may actually do. So right now I am going to hold on to it. But I feel like this is another palette that I'm gonna get rid of, but just for now I'm just gonna hold on to it. Next is my P. Louise Worldy eyeshadow palette. This palette, okay, the packaging is very pretty. I love the sand on the inside, but this palette is massive. Like, this palette is so huge. I could put this in a pillowcase and beat somebody to death with it. That's how freaking big it is, and I hate how big it is. I feel like although this packaging is very pretty, all this packaging is so unnecessary. This could have been half the palette. Like, this whole part could have just been taken off and just been this part right here, and I would have been fine with it. The back, very pretty color story and everything like that. I'll show you the inside. I just realized I didn't. Let me try to get this open. So this is the inside. This is the color story. Now the color story, it has your blues, your greens, your purple, your oranges, stuff like that. This palette is so freaking pretty, and I was so excited when I ordered this palette. And I had heard on a bunch of different reviews that this palette was big, but I didn't realize it was this massive. The mirror I absolutely hate. It's not even a real mirror, it's more so plastic, reflective plastic, and that way they can ship it all over the world. The mirror is totally unusable. It looks like a funhouse mirror. The shades, they are very pretty, but honestly, this packaging is so unnecessary. It is so big, it is so clunky. Like, I couldn't imagine doing an eyeshadow palette or taking this to do a client's makeup and having to lug this damn thing around. I have not touched this palette because I was on the fence on whether or not I want to keep it or not. My boyfriend thinks it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. He thinks the packaging is beautiful. I think the packaging is beautiful. It's just, it's coming down to if I'm going to pick this up. Like, there should be no reason as to why I feel the muscles in my forearm flexing because I'm holding this palette. Surprisingly enough, as much as I wanted this palette, I have to get rid of it. And that's because I'm not gonna want to pick this up. Like, I'm not gonna want to travel with this. I'm not gonna want to do anything with this palette. And it's sad because it has a really pretty color story. And then every single person that I've seen use this palette has complained about the size and the packaging, but they said that the quality was top tier. So that makes me really sad. Apparently P. Louise is discontinuing this palette and she's just gonna come out with the singles. I hope she does. That way I would prefer getting the singles and then putting them in a palette on my own. For me to just depot it right now, I feel like it would be a total waste of money because I paid pretty much for the packaging and not the shadows themselves. So I am gonna get rid of this. I know that's sad and it's probably surprising, but I can't do it. I'm not gonna enjoy this palette, not one bit. Next is the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro Ultimate Artistry Eyeshadow Palette. This is what the inside looks like. This is actually my second or third palette. No, this is my third one because I gave my niece my first one. The second one I sent to a friend, and this is my third one. This palette is so pretty. The color story is really nice. I love the quality. Like, the quality is insane. I did a swatch video on this palette a couple of years ago. This palette is just unbelievably good. This would be great for a makeup artist, but not only just a makeup artist, just anyone in general that likes color and shimmers and stuff. This is very shimmer dominated. I believe there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, probably 10 to 12 mattes in this whole palette. The rest are shimmers. Very pretty color story. I love how this performed. For me to keep buying this palette even after getting rid of it shows you that this is a great palette. I do know once I am done with it though, this time around I won't be repurchasing it, only because I've moved on. I found other shadows that performed just as good at this as this one, and it has more so of the color story that I naturally gravitate towards, and that I would use all of those shades. There's a couple of shades in here that I know for a fact that I will not use on a regular basis, that I won't hit pan in, that I won't be close to hitting pan on, or that I won't constantly go back to. This is a palette, no matter how good it is, there's only about 5 or 6 shades that it's like, ooh, I need to go back to this palette for those shades. All the other shades can be found elsewhere, and cheaper, and in palettes that I'll reach for more. I already know that I will be getting rid of this palette. And last but not least, we have the BH Cosmetics Studio Pro Ultimate Matte Eyeshadow Palette. This is what the inside looks like. This one has always given me a hard time opening. And this is what the inside looks like. This is your all matte palette, which is perfectly fine by me because I love all matte palettes. This one has more pops of color than the other palette. This one does have a lot of neutral shades, like your browns, your sandy shades, your terracottas and stuff like that. But overall, I do think this palette is so freaking beautiful. I think I would reach for this palette more so than the other one, for the simple fact is this is a all matte palette, and because I love all matte palettes. These shades right here, so pretty. These down here are gorgeous. I recently got this palette probably about 2-3 months ago, so I haven't had a chance to play around with it. So for now, I am gonna hold on to it. And that concludes my long-awaited finale of my eyeshadow palette and declutter series. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as we got through all of these together. I want to let you know that I'm so appreciative of all the support and all the nice comments and stuff that I've received during this series, and it was actually really, really fun. It allowed me to revisit a lot of old favorites and then discover things that I needed to get rid of that was long overdue, but because I was so overwhelmed with everything that I had, it made it almost cathartic to just finally go through this process. So thank you so much for tuning in this whole time. In this video, we talked about 57 different eyeshadow palettes. I decided to get the 52 over here. I know that sounds really bad. And then I ultimately decided to get rid of the 8 that's all the way in the corner over there. My original declutter goal was to get rid of anywhere from 75 to 100 palettes. I first reached my first goal of 75, then I reached my second goal of 100, and then I wanted to keep adding more and getting rid of more, so I added another goal of 125 decluttered, and then I added my final goal of 150 decluttered. And these 8, even though I didn't declutter as much as I may have wanted to in this video, those 8 made me reach my last and final goal of getting rid of 150 palettes. I'm so stoked. Hopefully this time next year, I'll be able to get rid of 150 more. Who knows, maybe more than that. I know throughout the year, as I'm doing eyeshadow tutorials and just playing around in my makeup, I'm going to be getting rid of stuff behind the scenes. I do have my Macari link down below if any of y'all are interested in any of these. Some of them are used, some of them are brand new. I always list what's new and brand new in the product description. Of course, all the money made goes back into my channel. It goes back into buying more makeup to test out, to swatch videos for, just overall just reinvest back into my channel. But I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed this series, and I hope to see you later. Bye.